Teen Titans came out on Cartoon Network back in 2003, and honestly, it was amazing. Over 5 seasons and 65 episodes, this DC animated show targeted at 6 to 11-year-olds built one of the most devoted fan bases in DC animation history. Then, in late 2005, Cartoon Network announced that the show was done. Mind you, the series finale that aired, titled Things Change, wasn't even written as a finale. If you watch it, well, you can tell that it was written with the full expectation that a 6th season would come out. But that didn't happen. Instead, in 2006, we got a TV movie called Trouble in Tokyo, which acted as a belated send-off. And 7 years after that, in 2013, Cartoon Network replaced the show entirely with Teen Titans Go, which had the same characters but with a completely different register. So, it doesn't surprise anyone that this didn't sit right with the fans. So, today, we're going to talk about what actually happened to Teen Titans. Let's get into it. Teen Titans was created by Glenn Murakami, who, as most of you know, also worked on Batman Beyond with Bruce Timm. Teen Titans was developed with head writer David Slack and Cartoon Network executive Sam Register, and the main focus of the show was on the 1980s comic run by Marv Wolfman and George Perez, titled New Teen Titans. And that particular comic run, my dear viewers, was regarded as one of the best superhero comic runs of its decade. So, it was quite a big deal. The core team was Robin, Starfire, Cyborg, Beast Boy, and Raven. You know them, you love them, and for valid reasons they're burned into our memories. What made the show immediately so distinctive from everything that was on screen at the time was the visual language. Not everyone was on board with the vision from the start. David Slack stated that when OG Teen Titans first launched, many lifelong fans hated what we were doing. Because for the older comic crowd, this wasn't their Teen Titans. But Glenn Murakami was pretty steadfast on his decision. Said very plainly in an interview, "I'm just trying to make Teen Titans a cool show. Just because it's aimed at 6 to 11-year-olds, that doesn't mean it can't be a cool show." And that's partly the reason why the show worked, See, he intentionally chose to build the show with the anime aesthetic as a structural identity, which was very uncommon back in the day. It was a bold choice and a risk, and thankfully, it paid off. The show felt like nothing else on American television. But these visuals were just the wrapper. Underneath all of that, Teen Titans' main goal was to build serialized character arcs that people could follow. The first season was focused on Robin versus Slade, which tracked Robin's obsession and identity. Then, in Season 2, we have Terra, the traitor and a bad friend who eventually dies. Season 3 was focused on Cyborg and his conflict with Brother Blood and Hive, while Season 4 was focused on Raven and her eventual confrontation with her father, Trigon. So, you get the drift. And as you can see, the show was covering hard-hitting topics that were not meant for 6-year-olds tuning in on Saturday morning. You had grief, you had broken friendships, you had betrayal, you had the weight of loss, all things that even modern television struggles to portray properly at times. But this show did all of that. David Slack actually explained in an interview for Animation Obsessive in 2024 that the writing team treated each character as a metaphor. We wanted it to be emotionally complex, but with plots that are not too complicated. Slack even went on to describe the founding Titans as high school archetypes that were lifted into superhero form, with Robin being the serious student, Starfire as the foreign exchange student, Beast Boy as the class clown, Raven as the goth girl, and of course, Cyborg as the jock. He also said that he and Murakami both agreed that it was emotional. Next Generation sort of got lost in its own mythology of transporter buffers and positronic brains and all that stuff. The original Trek was Spock as the superego, McCoy as the id, and Kirk in the middle, having to make the choice. So we lean towards more emotional stories like that. And because they were so intentional about everything, that's why, even to this day, people turn to Teen Titans to dissect Terra's arc and Raven's mythology, Speaking of Terra, Slack actually described watching her final arc as I was looking at the last pass of the final script, just bawling my eyes out. I mean, she's just lost. This show had genuine weight on the audience, and so of course, it got cancelled. Now, why did it get cancelled? This is where the story gets a little bit more complicated. If you watched the show as a kid, well, you probably remember the 4th season of the show. Earth transformed into hell, and Slade returned from the dead as a servant of a demonic entity. Then we find out that Raven is being used as a vessel to destroy the world, and safe to say the stakes were so high. There's a reason why this season of the show is considered the best in the show's history. But also, this season caused serious concerns at the network level because parents found it absolutely terrifying. According to Slack, one of the main explanations he was given for the show's cancellation was that the fourth season's ratings had dropped due to the concerns of concerned parents who felt the show was too scary. But the whole point of that season was that it was scary. But this whole point caused a friction between the artistic quality and network optics, which eventually became a big deal. And then we got the end of Season 5, and there are 3 accounts of why the show got cancelled. But when you lay them side by side, they don't completely align. So, Account 1. We have Warner Brothers executives who killed it. Will Wheaton, who voiced Aqualad for several episodes, publicly stated that the show was cancelled because there were new higher-ups at Warner Brothers. Feature animation executives who required all current shows to re-pitch their concept. Teen Titans pitched their 6th season, but it wasn't up to the higher-ups' taste. So, the pitch was rejected, and the show got cancelled by the new leadership, who didn't particularly have any connection or investment with the show. Then we have the second account, which states that Cartoon Network cancelled it. Story editor Rob Hoagie stated directly, contradicting Wheaton, that the decision came from Cartoon Network. Since they were the production team, they got the notice while they were writing for the 5th season that no 6th season was planned for them. Basically, the crew was told that in the middle of the project, there's no end to it, and they just had to deal with it. So far, yeah, I can understand both of these accounts separately, right? The voice actor knew about the higher-ups, who very well could have done what he said they did, and the production team got a different push from a different higher-up that they couldn't come out and say it because reasons. But then we get the third account, which comes from producer David Slack himself. He said that Warner Brothers had granted Mattel the master toy license for all DC properties, except Teen Titans, which was given to Bandai. So Mattel wasn't seeing any kind of revenue from Teen Titans merchandise, and it was flowing directly to a competitor. So Mattel wanted the show gone specifically because Bandai, their rival, was profiting from it. Now, if you go on fan communities, retrospectives, etc., you'll see all 3 of these accounts are widely reported. But the problem is none of them actually have a definitive, on-record confirmation for anyone explaining the reason in an interview. So, from where you and I stand, all 3 are valid. I personally believe that all 3 played a role. And since all of them happened in 2005, the show ended while standing directly in the crossfire of all of them. Yeah, I know this isn't a satisfying answer, but it's the only accurate answer we can come up with from all that we know. And as a result of this crossfire, we lost the 6th season. Because, well, surprise, surprise, the 6th season of the show was conceptualized pretty well. We learn about this from Glenn Murakami himself. In his comprehensive 5 seasons of Murakami interview on the Titans Tower fan site, he discussed what the direction would have been. The 6th season was going to be a full rebranding. You know, like how Justice League became Justice League Unlimited. Yeah, Teen Titans was going to become New Teen Titans, and the new honorary Titans introduced throughout the 5th season. Speedy, Bumblebee, Kid Flash, Jinx, etc. were going to take more central roles while our core members would have become the mentors. And yet, listen, that's a cool idea and all, but I personally have beef with this whole thing. Because everyone got one whole season of emotional arc around them, except my girl Starfire. She is the emotional heart of the show in a lot of ways, and she never got her own dedicated season. We all thought that we were going to get her season 2, where we'll explore her relationship with Blackfire, how her identity as Tamaranian comes with pros and cons, and how her bond with Robin, which had been building for so long, was going to finally get the dramatic head, right? But no, apparently this wasn't going to happen, because we got to cancel the show, since it was too scary. And then, on top of that, remember the Red X? You know, the masked character who was introduced back in Season 3 and was never revealed. Yeah, Murakami confirmed that this was intentional because they wanted to revisit that in the 6th season. Also, we were going to explore Robin turning into Nightwing in that season too. Glenn Murakami also noted that this season was going to have new villains like Mr. Twister, Phobia, Ravager, etc., but none of it got past the pitch. So, with all of these good ideas trashed in the garbage, what did Warner Brothers and Cartoon Network do? They gave us Teen Titans Trouble in Tokyo on September 15th, 2006, which was the de facto series finale. And why is it in Tokyo? you ask? Well, according to a Newsrama interview, Glenn Murakami felt that the series was so influenced by anime, it seemed like a natural progression to take them to Tokyo. As an anime fan myself, I loved the anime cultural references and the playful energy, but as a conclusion to the 5 seasons of television, well, the movie was barely satisfying. Robin and Starfire's relationship was made explicit, yeah, but it did nothing for the rest of the characters and their arcs. It also didn't touch the major threads left dangling by the 5th season. And then, you have the box office numbers. This movie made $751,000 domestically, which basically closed the door on any conversation about continuing the franchise through direct-to-video features. So, yeah, no. Any hopes of the show returning were basically killed by those numbers. Then, in 2013, we got Teen Titans Go on Cartoon Network, which used the same 5 characters with largely the same voice cast. But now, instead of focusing on grounded, real things, this show focused more on absurdist humor and deliberate non-serialization. It had no interest in the emotional weight of the original series, and yeah, sure, that's made the show an enormous success. But because of that same success, Cartoon Network and Warner Brothers have no reason to actually revisit the original, But hey, at least we got some acknowledgement in Teen Titans Go vs. Teen Titans Movie of 2019. There, both the versions of the team show up, and in the mid-credit sequence, the original Robin tells his Go counterpart, "We found a way back." The prophecy recognized that we are still here, waiting for the original team to return. Yay! Us. You know what? I hate that Teen Titans never got the right ending it deserved. I hate that they did my girl Starfire so dirty by not giving her an arc. I hate that we never got to see Robin's trajectory towards Nightwing at all. And I hate that all of this was lost and just got replaced by waffles and wacky hijinks. I said what I said, and I meant what I said. I want my Teen Titans Starfire to get her arc. Please and thank you. Let me know in the comments if you too feel the same way about Teen Titans ending as I do. Like and subscribe as always, and if you've come this far, well, I'll see you guys in the next one. Ta-ta.